All right, time for some YouTube. I wonder what kind of horrible commercials I get subjected to this time.
Pizza or salad?
Oh, it's this fucking guy with his
Which
abs.
one do you think I'm having for dinner tonight?
Who really gives a
Not
shit?
this. It's definitely not this rabbit food. Why?
Skip.
Because
At Tommy John, we believe
YouTube, why do you
deserve the
hate me?
most comfortable underwear. And
Stuff that underwear in your mouth so you stop talking. Before you check out every episode of this podcast, I bet you're really missing having to look at dudes' abs or see bulges in men's underwear simply because you're trying to check out some anime. But of course you don't, and we won't torture you with commercials like that. Instead, you can help this podcast remain ad-free by heading over to aaapodcast.com/join or Patreon/AAApodcast. You won't have to listen to any horrible commercials, and you'll be getting 8 exclusive extra podcast episodes a month, our hentai episodes, our hobby addicts, and our after party episodes, just for you. Again, if you want to help us remain ad-free, go to aaapodcast.com/join or Patreon. And now...
Get ready! You're about to listen to the Anime Addicts Anonymous Podcast. Make your anime addiction worse at aaapodcast.com. And now, here are your anime addicts.
Welcome into the podcast, episode 574 of the Anime Addicts Anonymous podcast. Still here, still dedicated to making your anime addiction worse. Thank you so much to all you guys watching on Twitch, everybody cutting the grass, everybody at work, everybody commuting, scuba diving, whatever you're doing. Thank you for making us part of your day. Glad to have all of you listening and watching. Of course, you can watch us on twitch.tv/AAA-podcast, live Sundays at 5 p.m. Eastern. And I am joined by a great crew today. Starting off, we've got Mason rocking a muscle shirt. Ooh, looking good, Mason.
Little tank top. It is so damn toasty out there right now. It's like 80 plus degrees. My body's not built for this, and I'd be sweating bullets than anything else. So excuse the suggestive outfit.
And we also have a special guest today on the podcast joining us. We have Shaun from the Anime Out of Context podcast, rocking a green monster, I must say, and I am very proud of you, sir. Welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us. Oh, thank you for showing your monster. I'll crack mine open. How are you doing?
I am doing fantastic. I really appreciate you guys inviting me on. Oh, wow. Oh, you're pouring it out.
We're doing the pour into a mason jar?
Bougie.
Oh,
Bougie.
shit.
I feel outclassed. I'm just drinking straight from the can like a heathen.
Nothing wrong with taking it to the head, my friend. So, Shaun, thanks for joining us. We're trying to do a lot more networking this year, and you guys seemed like, honestly, the podcast I wanted to have on the show more than any other. So why don't you take a moment to tell people about your podcast, where they can find you, where they can follow you. Plug-alicious, this is the time. The floor is yours. Let it be known.
Hey, folks, if you don't know who I am, my name is Shaun Rollins, and I am one of the co-hosts of the Anime Out of Context podcast. I'm the show's resident weeb, and what I do is I essentially take my dear friend, my best friend I've known since high school, Remington Chase, and I force him to watch anime. Here's the thing, though. He doesn't really like anime or really understand it, so it's kind of my job to describe the show to him, have him watch it, and give his very unique criticisms. And it's a show for people who like anime, it's a show for people who don't understand anime, and we try our best to be funny, but it's a little hard sometimes when you're not a funny person.
I feel like you are the Sherpa, like guiding him across the landscape of degeneracy that is anime culture, and you do a great job. So I'm really like listening to you guys. So we're so pleased to have you on.
I really appreciate it.
You guys got to check out Anime Out of Context. Don't let me down. You know, Shaun came all the way over here across the internet to do this with us. So
I put on a nice shirt for everybody.
I'm telling you what, guys.
just do it.
Get over there, make it happen. Anyway, again, thanks, Shaun, for coming on. So We have such a good episode today. I'm so fucking hyped. We have some great stuff. We're going to be talking about what we have been watching, which will include all three of us have seen the Demon Slayer movie. So you'll get to have the rundown on the Demon Slayer Mugen Train that broke the Japanese box office record. So we'll see if it really sizes up to that kind of hype. And, of course, we have other anime, too, to talk about in that segment. And then we're going to be doing impressions. We're going to be doing Don't Toy With Me, Miss Nagatoro. I always thought it was kind of subtitled Don't Bully Me, but...
It was originally. Like, that's where a lot of the fan translations go. But I feel like the word bully is probably a bit of a taboo topic.
There you go. We're going to be talking To Your Eternity in an impression. We're going to be talking Demon Titties, the anime, otherwise known as How Not to Summon a Demon Lord Season 2, which I will be covering, and also probably the most out-of-left-field anime of the season, Cestvs, the Roman Fighter, which is just like, well, how does this even become an anime? It's so not anime, so. Does anybody else have anything they want to throw into the ring before we get started?
Where might Caroline be today, my dear Mitz?
Oh my god, I forgot about Caroline. Out of sight, out of mind, but not out of our hearts because it is Caroline's birthday today.
Holy moly, it must be my birthday.
And she's off, you know, I don't know. What do people do on their birthdays? I'm so old, it's like, oh, birthday. Who gives a shit?
I thought she was just scared of me, so...
Usually she's scared of me. You know, we've been trying to get her to watch hentai on our hentai episodes, and we have yet to have that happen yet. So, and she's not here again today for our hentai episode. So, well, very time. No, I'm sure she's off eating cake and having a good time. So, everyone, go wish Caroline a big happy birthday on our Twitch, or on our Twitter rather, and on Discord. So, anything else, guys? We should kick it off here.
Let's do it.
All right.
It's time for big news of the week.
All right. Well, it's kind of sad. I feel like I should have some sad music for this, but I don't play it up too much. But Shunsuke Kikuchi died at age 89 from pneumonia. So why is Shunsuke Kikuchi hitting me in my heart a little bit? Well, he began his career creating music for anime 6 decades ago, and he worked in the industry for 60 years and worked on such titles as Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z. He did pretty much all the music for Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, I think with the exception of like the openings and the closings. But, you know, having grown up on Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, those songs are just like burned into my mind, and they're there because of Shunsuke Kikuchi. So, you know, it's sad to see a somewhat of a legend in the anime industry pass away. He also did the music for Doraemon and Dr. Slump as well, which are, you know, just massive titles. And he scored music for over 40 anime films tied to those series. So it's a big loss in the anime industry. And, you know, just a big thanks to Shunsuke Kikuchi, you know, for raising all the kids in America right on his music, you know. So, you know, I will never forget all that music. So... just a quick hit there. I wanted to just give the guy some, you know, a shout out of appreciation. So I'd rather celebrate the guy than like mourn his death, I think. So I go watch some Dragon Ball. You know what? I think I have like, don't I have Dragon? I should have done this from the start. There you go. We had the music all along.
Iconic. The music was inside us the whole time.
Like, I felt it radiating from my heart as soon as I started thinking about Dragon Ball 2. It's
like a Kaioken came from your heart.
Exactly. Until they forget about it for, you know, a couple decades.
Yeah, Kaioken. It was there, and then it wasn't, but then you found out that he was just using it all along. They just didn't want They just didn't want to bother drawing it. So, all right, moving on from that, Shaun, what kind of chaos did you bring to our show today?
A lot of chaos. I did my best, I swear to God. I looked high and low for a great news story to bring to your show so that I could be an active participant. However, while looking for a news story, I got distracted by a fun anime quiz. Simply, to keep in theme with the show, what Demon Slayer character are you?
Oh, no!
Because as we all know, the best kind of news is finding out more about yourself.
Exactly.
Wow.
So, So where can people find this quiz, and what character did you end up being?
You can head on over to crunchyroll.com. It's on their news site. I think it was just posted earlier today, in fact. I think it might actually be a repost from a quiz about late 2020, if I'm not mistaken. But short little 8-question quiz. You can take it, and I ended up with a bit of a problematic character. And I don't know what this says about me as a person, but the quiz decided that I was, in fact, Zenitsu.
Oh, no.
Oh, so you're, like, hideously annoying, then.
Well, you don't have to say it.
I don't know if I'd say
Sorry,
seriously
man.
annoying.
I'm just direct like that. You don't think Zenitsu's annoying?
I wouldn't say
Oh my
he's
God.
hideous, though.
He's
got some nice blonde hair. He's a zapper young fellow.
I didn't say
he can be really cool. He can be incredibly cool. He just has to be unconscious.
He just needs to be not speaking, which is perfect for a podcast.
I didn't say he was hideous. I said he was hideously annoying.
I guess so.
You're getting your adjectives all mixed up. Anyway.
Maybe. Well,
I took the quiz for you, Mason. I took the quiz for Mason. You did?
I did.
This was planned.
This might have been a mistake. Do you want to know what character you ended up as, Mitz?
Yeah, I do. I want to know what you think of me, Mason.
A legitimately hideous creature, if I will be so blunt. You got the Spider Demon Dad.
What? What?
At the end of the series, that like spider guy with like 20 eyes, like massive fangs, and is
what?
Like 8 feet tall. Yeah, you got him. I'll copy an image so you can see who you are.
Show me my spirit animal.
You are Papa Spider.
Oh my God, there it is.
Jesus Christ!
It's fucking terrible. That is why is that even in the quiz?
That's a very good question. He doesn't really have a character. He's literally just big and scary.
I answered all of the questions with like exuding power and strength and a go for it attitude, and just won't take no for an answer. And this is you, like it or not. This is the future.
I'll get the picture up in on the Twitch here for people that want to see. Well, I took the quiz for you, Mason.
Oh,
and I think I seem to think more highly of you than you do of me. I'm just gonna put the image right over my face on the Twitch because there we go. And you got Tamayo, who according to this description I don't even remember who this is. The elegant physician who was transformed into a demon by Muzan Kubutsuji.
Oh, yeah. That's the good demon doctor that's doing research on turning Nezuko back into a human.
Heck yeah, she's a cutie.
Oh, right.
I can go with that.
That's right. She was like early. She popped up like early in the season, I think.
Yeah, she'll become more relevant later on if you've read the manga.
Oh, best is yet to come, my dudes.
Oh, you manga people. Anyway, yeah. So that was fun. And just try better next time. Mason, come on.
I'm sorry.
Come on, man.
You should take it for yourself and see how much we deviated.
Hook me up, okay?
Gotcha.
All right.
Just think of yourself as a big, powerful, intimidating force, Maybe people will want you to step on them. You never know.
I have big biceps, but I'm only 5'8", so I would get run through a wall by most people, I think, so. Anyway.
Well, my big news is also equally lighthearted, and it is Netflix reveals their official VTuber and anime ambassador.
Oh my God.
So on April 26th, the Netflix anime YouTube channel unveiled Enko Meg Chrono, which is a sheep-human life form, and here to promote the anime shows that appear on Netflix, as well as doing cover songs and game commentary. Now, do any of you get with it with VTubers? I know Mitz has like a deep, dark secret that he tries to hide from the world, but Shaun, do you have any skin in this game?
How dare you?
Or do we not want to reveal that to the public yet?
No, it's okay. It's okay. I've made over 150 episodes of an anime podcast, and nothing is secret at this point. I am so enamored with VTubers. I've been addicted to a lot of the Hololive girls, some of the Niji Sanji folks, like Bombs. They're all just really talented streamers, and they play into their personas really well. It's very much the wrestling persona metaphor that really makes the experience a good blast and fun. And that's a really cute design, except for the giant N on her hair.
Yeah,
the N is a bit weird.
the end and the hair, and then the end stitching on her like thigh area is a bit strange. But you know what? I'm not going to judge. But I guess, what do you guys think of like this very commercial entity of Netflix getting into the VTuber game? Is this a good thing that they're putting efforts to attract people in the anime and putting effort behind it, or is it a little too corporatized and commercialized to feel a little fake, perhaps?
I mean, everything is an effort to make money, honestly. So I just don't see why it really matters, to be honest. Like, I don't know. Somebody probably cares.
I think it's interesting that they've noticed the huge skyrocketing trend that's happened over the past year with the VTubers, and they've decided to jump on that and get on in there. The real question is it depends on what they decide to do with it. If it's just kind of a general personification of a news anchor type of thing, that's fine. It's not super interesting, but they're allowed to. But they could also probably be putting that effort towards, I don't know, making their adaptations a little bit better.
Perhaps. Well, so far, just one episode of Enko has come out where she recommends 5 shows to binge, which include ReZero, Attack on Titan, Code Geass, Devilman Crybaby, and The Promised Neverland. So,
what a great show with only 1 season.
No, that's the luxury they afford. When you only have the first season of The Promised Neverland, you can recommend that all day long.
It only has the 1 season. It's a shame we'll never get a second season, but the first season, so good.
Exactly. I wonder what'll happen with that studio. Oh well.
It's gonna get burned down by angry fans. They're gonna be like, "How dare you ruin my Promised Neverland?" So, anyway, I don't know. I don't even know where you would go to watch a YouTuber. Is that actually on Netflix somewhere, or is that like on YouTube?
It's on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
YouTuber, VTuber. It's kind of the same thing, but different.
I encourage Netflix to dip their toes into whatever markets they feel like it. So, and I'm sure that they will. All right. Moving on from that, guys, we have What Have We Been Watching? We've been doing this segment about every 5 weeks. Everybody knows who watches that I don't really find as much time as I should potentially have to watch anime outside of what we watch for the podcast. So this is really like an extracurricular segment. But do you guys want to start with the Demon Slayer movie because we all seen it, or should we finish with the Demon Slayer movie?
We should start with that. Get everything we need off our chest, and then whatever time we have left, we can deposit to the less commercial releases.
All right. Well, I went and saw this with Pancake last Tuesday at our dinner theater that we go to. They called, even though the tickets at the dinner theater are supposed to be $5 on Tuesdays, they called it a quote event and made us pay $16 a ticket for it, which was fucking ridiculous. I sat down not expecting a whole lot because I don't know. It's like I don't know how you. I'm not a giant Demon Slayer fan. Like, I think it's fine. This is mostly for Shaun. I think everybody else knows. I think it's fine. I don't really think it's better than like Yu Hakusho or Hunter x Hunter or some of the other shonen shows. So I didn't really expect like a tremendous amount from the movie, but and I think I pretty much had my expectations. I think the movie was actually worse than I thought it would be. I really didn't care for the movie very much. I think the first half of the movie was like borderline terrible, and the second half was a little bit redeeming, but all in all, I left just feeling stunned by the fact that this beat out Spirited Away by like $20 million or whatever in the Japanese box office, and I just can't put my finger on it. But how did you guys feel about this?
I'll let Shaun go first, and we'll lay this out. We'll try to do the best with no spoilers, the best we can. Just general.
Okay, we can do that.
And thoughts. I think we can do a pretty good job. If not, you know exactly what you're getting into. But Shaun, going into this.
So I actually saw it more recently. As soon as I got your guys' invite, I was like, they're going to talk about that Demon Slayer film, huh? I should probably go see it.
Thank you.
That's dedication. We appreciate it.
Yeah, no, and I mean, I've been meaning to, but pandemic means I'm scared to go outside. But I mustered up the courage and went and saw it, and I'm actually kind of thinking I'm the opposite of you there.
Good. I'm glad.
Yeah, I actually really, really, really enjoyed it. For the folks that are familiar with me at all, they know that I love my shonen trash nonsense. But this was such a beautifully executed shonen arc that I just was blown away the whole time. Like the animation was gorgeous, the sheer composition of it, the soundtrack was really really solid. I was enamored by the film the whole time. Even got me a little teary eyed at the end for reasons that I will not spoil. But again, I'm a big shonen fan, so the fact that this movie felt like it was made for me specifically really really resonated. And I don't know, God, I just was so enthralled. I mean, I've read the whole manga, so I knew what was going to happen going in, but Demon Slayer is definitely one of those anime that outshine its manga. Ufotable has done some amazing work with the animation and the character design, as well as just the sheer composition of everything. Not to mention that the VA's performances were really stellar, in my opinion. I could gush about random things here and there forever, but
I think we'll get into it. This will be like a light review. I know Caroline also watched it, and she enjoyed it as well. So I'm glad we're getting a balance between the people who like it and maybe the people who don't. Because I was getting ready to come into this like review and talk about, because every time we bring up Demon Slayer, Mitz is like, "Why is it so popular? I don't understand. Why is this one so popular?" And I was ready to be like, "Man, they just had all this like timely milestones across the manga release, with the anime pre-release, with the anime release, with the ending, with the movie. Like it all came in very nicely, so it was always in the news cycle. Just the coincidence of having a lot of really talented people working on it. There was a whole like lecture I watched from the Copenhagen Sakura Festival by Professor Mizushima, who like talked about the themes and context of the era and kind of how this Demon Slayer captures it. And I was hoping that at the end of the day I could say, none of that matters because this movie is just that damn good that it deserves the success. And I get why people love and enjoy it. You got a lot of solid characters bolstered by impressive vocal performances, juicy sound effects, and like a really powerful soundtrack. And I agree with Shaun that the anime is probably better than the manga. That said, this movie was absolutely mid, and I found it to be way worse than the show itself for a lot of reasons that we can get into if we want.
Mason.
Does it surprise anyone that I'm a little around the edges? And so let's talk about the good things first.
Well,
the music was so good. I mean, it's Yuki Kajura who always delivers.
Pretty much.
Was it a little overdone where they played the same dramatic pieces like in undramatic situations, so by the time they used it at the end it felt a little tired? Maybe, but it did sound amazing.
I thought that for me, it was really a tale of two halves because the end of the movie has like a fight scene in it with a villain that I thought was very cool to look at. The UFO table really kind of showed their muscles on their animation with that fight scene. I thought that fight scene especially really showed off what they were really capable of, and it was just like a peak shonen fighting scene. It's like one of those fight scenes where people will like give that as an example of like great shonen battle scenes for like the next 10 years probably. There's a lot of like valiant fighting and self-sacrifice going on, throughout that second half of the movie that I thought made it like a pretty strong performance, for the second half. So all in all, I think I left with like a decent taste in my mouth from the movie. I think for me, one of the issues with Demon Slayer is it's got so much hype that like I always expect it to just blow me out of my underwear. Like I'll fly across the movie theater, like my penis will be flying around. I have no underwear on, but like so it has like a pretty high hurdle to climb over. But but I thought the end of the movie was real strong, just because the animation and the fight choreography was top notch.
No, Demon Slayer has always had a really strong sense of its fight scenes, and that was evident in the show. And the fact that they had the budget for a film to actually really stretch out those fight scenes and make them as dramatic as we always picture them being when we're reading the manga, it really lended so much credit to the end part of the movie. Like, my God. And just the sheer colors, the way that each individual graphical effect was designed, just was peak shonen for me, and I just enjoyed it so much.
Yeah, I guess my issues lie with mainly the fact that there is zero plot to this movie. It does really nothing to bolster any character or story beat. Like this could easily be bypassed, and you could start season 2 with no issue. All the villains arriving are just contrived and come out of nowhere just to say we need more fights. The dialogue is stilted and stiff and expository, furthered by lines that I think are supposed to feel like it makes our characters eccentric and funny, but they kind of fall into the awkward territory when you have a character saying umai, umai, umai.
Oh, you don't like Genroku?
Umai, 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 and you're just like, I get it, I got it, we're good. But I felt like none of the comedy landed for me. Even Inosuke, who is just a fun character, was just not vibing with me. And no, Ufotable is so good with their CG use, and it definitely shows in some of the later fights. But earlier on in the scene, especially with the look of some of the bad guys' powers, looks kind of just gross and not well composited. Like I just feel like it didn't do much with the time it had, and even with tempered expectations, I couldn't get into it. I'm sorry.
I agree with some of that, but I don't agree necessarily with like there was nothing added to the characters. Like I think his name's Genroku, right? Genroku is like this character that pops up at the end of the first season of Demon Slayer, and for those of us that haven't read any of the manga, I don't really know much about him coming into this movie because he was only in like 2 episodes of the series or whatever right at the end. So I feel like I left the movie, appreciating and knowing more about Genroku. Like I think that if anybody got more development, it was him. He was pretty much the focal point of the film, and it's a little tough to get into some of the flashbacks, except for Tanjiro because everybody knows his story. But like, they just didn't. They don't really give a lot of like. There's not a lot to like latch onto as a viewer sympathetically when you're with a character like Genroku, because at least for, like I said, for those of us that haven't read the manga, he has really no emotional leg to stand on with the viewers from the first season of the anime because he's barely in it. So it really takes like it takes until like the second half of the movie, I feel like, to really have people even care about him, because it takes the first half of the movie for you to like make that emotional connection. So that's kind of where I was. Like I didn't really care about any of like the backstory scenes that they were showing with the characters. I thought that Tanjiro's was definitely like very, he's got a sad story, so it's tough to watch, all the sad things that have happened to Tanjiro. But I thought that Genroku this was really his film. So, he's in the promo art, right? His crazy face with his psycho eyebrows.
Wasn't he Rengoku?
Is it Rengoku? I honestly like.
If we're talking about the Hashira, it's Rengoku.
Yeah, you're just.
I was actually just furiously googling. It's like Genroku.
I think it's Rengoku. But
listen,
either way, like,
listen, I'm old and I can't remember names.
As an arc, like, did this need to be a movie? I don't think so. I think if this was the beginning of the next season, it would have worked just as well, if not a little bit better. And I don't know, maybe just because I had to pay money and drive and have my expectations elevated, that I just wanted more, but I feel like it just didn't deliver anything that the show didn't do better.
How do you guys feel about that? The first primary villain, and there's 2 villains really in the show.
I thought that he was a pretty standard demon. He had an interesting power, interesting conceptually, and it led to a pretty neat little sequence overall. Plus some of the dramatic fights of countering that power, and Tanjiro pushing forward as shonen heroes do, figuring out a way to beat down this guy in the most straightforward way possible. And I thought it was honestly a fun little set piece and a interesting way to expound on the mechanics of demon biology as well. Was it like one of the greatest anime villains to ever exist? Absolutely not. No, he's just kind of a good conceptual demon idea, and that's fine. I mean, this was meant to just be kind of the interstitiary placeholder film for the anime. Get a good chunk, a good whole arc that they were able to concise down into one single film and then move on. So the first major villain is more of a red herring than anything, and just set up for the rest of the series, just to show how really scary the rest of the demons are.
I guess I could see that in just the difference in power levels to make you be like, oh shoot, there's so much more out there that we're going to have to contend with over the next probably 40 plus episodes of the series that needs to be adapted.
Yeah, like if they keep going at the same rate they've been going, I think it's like they could probably get maybe 2.5 seasons maybe out of the what's left of the manga. And that's just if they keep going at the same rate they're going at. Whether or not they cut things out or if they decide to make more film adaptations, because considering how successful this one was, it wouldn't surprise me if they did season 2 and then another interstitial film and then the rest of the final 2 seasons, or they could end the whole series with a film. I honestly don't know, because honestly this film was essentially just like a mini anime season, it felt like.
I know that when season 2 of this anime comes out, it's going to be the biggest fucking anime release we've ever had, probably. One thing I really appreciated the film, and I don't want to say a whole lot more because I don't want to accidentally give spoilers, but the ending of the film, at least for me, was unpredictable, and I give it some credit for not going the way that I expected. You know, like the real villain of the movie shows up again. I thought he was really cool. You know, I'm sure he's gonna pop up again in the series. And when he popped up and everybody started fighting, in my mind, I had kind of planned out how I expected the movie to wrap up. I was dead wrong about all of that. So props for the movie going to an unpredictable place and sort of subverting my expectations at the end there, which I thought was kind of nice. You know, you don't want to see the same commonplace events play out in these movies over and over and over again. So we really didn't get that, and I thought that it really set up the second season to have maybe a more serious tone to it. So I really enjoyed that about the movie, I'll say. So.
Oh yeah, no, I agree with you 100% on that. Because I mean, really, this movie was kind of Rengoku's movie, like through and through. Like you said earlier, he's on the cover art. He's kind of the main focus. Like, it's interesting to see that there's definitely a heavy focus on this character of Rengoku, and then Tanjiro is more of a secondary character, which I thought, hey, that's pretty neat.
He can eat and I think he can even eat more food than Mason can. I mean, let's be honest.
Possibly. It'll be a close call.
How many bento boxes did he eat? Oh
my
man.
goodness. He had quite a stack piled up.
He did.
I mean, he really lived up to the Goku in his name. Let's just say that.
That's true.
Certainly.
Yeah. He put the Goku in right, yeah. All right. Well, I don't have anything else to add. Do you guys want to mention anything else about the movie? I'm sure most people probably enjoyed the movie quite a lot. So.
Yeah, I don't want to harp on it too long.
No. If you like the series, you're gonna love the movie. That's just kind of how it goes.
Let's see. Moving on. I never have a lot to talk about, but I watched an anime the other night that I'm super hyped to discuss here. I watched a show on Retro Crush, which I've been doing like nothing but Retro Crush here. Called Goku Midnight Eye. It's a 1989 movie that where the main character is voiced by Steve Bloom, who, you know, Steve Bloom is just like my man, you know. He can just like tell me bedtime stories all night, and it would just go just fine. Yeah, but this is it's a Madhouse anime from 1989. It's got 2 episodes, runs about 50 minutes each, and it's the only anime I've ever seen with a naked demon handlebar chick who shoots lasers out of her mouth. And I got some pictures here. I'll put them up here. And this girl stole the show out of this movie. I guess it plays like a movie. This is a bizarre fucking TV show. It is just totally representative of what you'll get from like an OVA from like 1988, 1989, where you got this guy named Goku who is a private investigator who is like pretty badass. Of course, he sounds like Spike, so he's extra points, and he gets just like his clock cleaned about 10 minutes into the movie, and gets rescued by a guy who puts a cybernetic eye into him that can connect to like any of the data systems in the world. And he's like, oh, if you wanted to, you could launch every nuke on Earth and destroy the planet, et cetera, et cetera. And this movie is it's just like one of those really bizarre, gritty, dark shows. As I change the photos here on Twitch, like here's the laser breath. This like some of the action
about the handlebars.
So she
is like crazy, dude.
and there's handlebars coming like out of her upper back, like she's in like a porn parody for Darling in the Franxx.
Yeah. There's like towards the end of the movie, like he's infiltrating like this corporate building, and she's in there, and she's pursuing him, and there's like this weird little like robot dude, literally sitting on her back, riding her, and she has literal handlebars coming out of her back, complete with like brake, whatever the fuck you call them, the things you squeeze on a motorcycle for the brake, or on a bike. Like she's got all that. She's like running around on all fours, shooting laser breath. And the way that he like goes and just takes out opponents in this movie is so fucking crazy. This is like definitely in line with like your Wicked City type stuff that you might have seen from years and years ago. But I think Shaun, you put it very well. It's like there are so many anime that have like the Monkey King type of theme in it, and this one's no different. Like his name's Goku. He's got a fucking power pole in this movie that he uses in very creative ways. Like I would say he uses his power pole in much more brutal ways than like Goku, the Goku from Dragon Ball would. And he's fucking voiced by Steve Bloom. And there's naked handlebar chicks shooting laser breath. I mean, this movie was fucking crazy. I recommend people watch it. There is like it's definitely rated R. I mean, there's some nudity in it. There's people being hypnotized to like commit suicide. There's like all kinds of dark stuff in this movie, but like that's like the late 80s for you.
And so you're telling Cyberpunk to eat its heart out then, essentially.
Oh my god, dude. Yeah, I mean, like I totally enjoyed this. I watched the ending like 3 times because it's just like the way he takes out these people is so just like vicious. He's a super cool character.
It all while wearing a tie with no shirt underneath.
Oh yes, he has a jacket and a tie, but no shirt underneath. It's so true. It's so true.
I think I'm in love with this man.
Yeah, he's fucking cool as shit. Yeah, so Goku Midnight Eye, it's only 2 episodes. It's on Retro Crush, so you can watch it for free. And
I've only watched the first one, Mitz. Do you recommend watching the second, or I got it? Have I seen all there is to see?
Dude, you can never see enough Goku Midnight Eye.
I guess you're right.
Like I'm really enjoying like watching these old shows on Retro Crush. Like I loved Riding Bean. That fucking thing was awesome. And this is right up there with Riding Bean for me. I fucking love this. And I got another one here I'm going to talk about if we have time. That was pretty neat. But I wanted to mention this one first because I really enjoyed it. And I don't know. I think the late 80s is just my time period. Like the vibe of it just hits me right in the right spot. So, not a moe girl to be seen. So just naked handlebar demon chicks shooting lasers. All right, Shaun, you're the guest of honor, so why don't you go next?
Alrighty, I appreciate it. There are so many anime this season. There are so many. It's hard to keep track of all of them.
Mm-hmm.
But the ones that seem to have popped up most recently in my research have been the first one that I'm really curious about and trying to figure out where it's going to go is a show called Odd Taxi. Have you guys had a chance to look at that one?
I'll be doing impressions on it in a little bit, so I'll keep most of my thoughts under wraps, but it is good. It is good. Go right ahead.
I won't go too into it, but it's essentially take a Gretzko and then take B-Stars and then find that perfect middle ground, and that's about the visual style you're going for. It's an anthropomorphic animal city about this taxi driver Walrus, who is just kind of doing his thing, driving around the city, living his life. But in the background, there's a case of a missing girl that he may be involved with, and all these characters that get in his taxi and are talking to him about it, as well as we're just introduced all these characters on the sides, and there's just this overarching mystery that we don't entirely know what's going on. And there's some language in the show that makes me think, I don't know if this is actually about anthropomorphic animal people.
I don't believe it is. I think it's actual people, and they're just represented as animals.
Yeah, because like the only time there's any reference to actually being an animal is when the main character actually says that they're an animal. Aside from that, I just think this might be a weird psychedelic perspective show. Also, they say Bruce Springsteen multiple times, and I find that to be hilarious.
Bruce Springsteen.
How the hell does a walrus drive a car? They don't have thumbs. He doesn't have hands.
You don't need thumbs to drive a car.
Bullshit. He doesn't have feet. He can't use the pedals.
He can't. Flippers.
Hey, just because he's a little overweight does not mean you need to shame him.
Goodness gracious. Okay.
I do not know my walrus anatomy, but I think it's doable. I think with the right hat on your head, you can do anything.
Oh my goodness.
They're basically mostly like, they're humanized enough that they have the proper appendages for the most part from what I've seen. So you don't have to worry about that particular question, thankfully. It's essentially just a walrus man.
So far, yeah, Odd Taxi has been a blast because, like, sure, they have this, like, setup in the background, like, loose, like, mystery going on with a kidnapping and maybe murder, and that's kind of intriguing. Like, the show is more like just a meditative vibe where they just talk about components of, like, modern day civilization, from, like, social media to gacha games. Like, they just touch on all these things in a very, like, contemplative way that makes it feel very grounded and interesting. And just hearing these characters talk it's almost like a Tarantino movie where they just have interesting things to say and have a great interplay between them. And it's been such a joy to listen to. Can we get the Big Walrus on this podcast? He would be a great guest.
Amazing. He's so sarcastic. It's great.
Oh my goodness.
Damn.
Please replace me with him. He's amazing.
I don't have any walrus drops on here. I'd play one. I feel so unprepared.
The best way I would describe it is like modern noir is what it feels like.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, got that mystery element, but it's very clearly set in present time. It's a blast. I'm really enjoying it. I can't wait to see where it goes. The other shows that I've been really dipping into, whether I want to or not, I've had to dip into Nagatoro.
Yep.
Because I got a lot of requests to review the show on my cast, and I'm probably gonna have to at some point. As well as the other big show that I'm also really excited for is one called To Your Eternity. Have you guys gotten a chance to see that?
Indeed, and I think you should save your comments, not to put a timeout on you right now, but we're going to talk about those later today, and I would love to have you join in with me. So.
Oh, great! I brought the shows that we're planning on talking.
No worries.
All
You're
right,
good.
then I guess I'm done.
It means you're prepared. You're ready.
You planned this, didn't you? It's on my.
All according to Cake.
There you go.
Translator note: Keikaku means plan. I guess the show I'll talk about, and I don't need to talk about too much more, is the show that recently just got released onto Netflix just a couple days ago. It's 6 episodes long. It's called Yasuke.
I saw that.
I assume neither of you guys have checked it out yet?
I almost watched it last night.
Yeah, that's the samurai one, isn't it?
It is. It tells the story of an actual historical figure named Yasuke, an African slave that was brought to Japan and became a samurai and retainer under Nobunaga. And this, first of all, like, I think they intended on audiences watching this dubbed, but I watched it subtitled, and there is no English subtitles on Netflix. There is one, but it is all closed caption. So in addition to the characters saying the things and you see the words, they have all the, like, sound effects and music subtitled as well. So, like, we did a group watch of this in our Discord, and we had a bunch of people, and this is a good group watch show because we had a blast just freaking out every time it said, like, ethereal music playing or crickets chirping or something like that. So besides all that, this tells a not very historical accurate recounting of the character of Yasuke, because despite it taking place in the 1500s, there are supernatural spider mages, bear transforming fighters in leather motorcycle outfits, Green Lantern stand-wielding shamans, Emperor Palpatine priests, and a mecha that would not be out of place in the show Listeners. And speaking of Listeners, Yasuke is also an original work by Studio Mappa, and like Listeners, this show is pretty darn bad. So, some of the fights, it's wild. So, some of the fights are actually pretty decent. There's some brutal moments. There's a lot of powerful impacts. Like, the fights are probably the highlight of the show, in addition to the music, which is provided by Flying Lotus. If you are into his style of, hip hop, jazz, it delivers in spades. It's diversive, it's immersive, and all of that combined is what you should come to this show for. And the goofiness with all these wacky elements leads well to a group watch, as I said earlier. But I think it's hampered not by the fact that it's not historically accurate, because I can forgive that. It's more just they included every element of every anime ever into this show. And they just wrote down these ideas of what they wanted in an anime on, like, a bar napkin, and all of those made it in with no process for cleaning it up. Like, it's like if a child is playing with their action figures and just has a bunch of them from different franchises, so they have to make up a story for them to all be involved, even though it makes no sense. That's how this felt. So it was a fun time, but a little too much a pastiche of everything in all of anime for my taste. But it's only 6 episodes. If you need a quick watch with friends to just have a blast and laugh at, I guess I'd recommend it for that. But it's not a good show. It continues a trend of Netflix with, like, we have The House Husband and High Rise Invasion and now Yasuke of just not being great critical media. So I can't strongly recommend it at the end of the day.
It can't be as bad as Listeners, though. I mean, come on.
I mean, it's
come
shorter.
on.
It takes less time to watch.
God,
so
Listeners was so fucking terrible, though. Anime was so bad.
It's probably better than Listeners. I gave them a almost similar score.
All right.
Listeners.
All right. Well, I watched another old show, another Madhouse show from the same time period, 1988, and it's pretty well known old OVA, Demon City Shinjuku. And it has a lot of the same vibe. It has some of the same vibe as the Goku Midnight Eye show. You know, it's dark show with demons. There's good action scenes in it. It's about this like psychic named Rebi Ra who's trying to open up a portal to hell inside of Shinjuku. And it's like this like post-apocalyptic future where like this whole swath of Tokyo is just like totally demolished, and it's full of demons and people just killing each other, and people don't go there. And so like they've transformed Tokyo into almost like this very it's like I imagine people that like live in Tokyo would really get a kick out of it, because like the whole city's kind of transformed into this like dark, alter version of itself. And this guy named Kyoya goes into Demon City Shinjuku with Sayaka, and Sayaka kind of gets him to help her out, and he's there to defeat Rebi Ra and to avenge his father, who was killed by Rebi Ra, and to prevent him from opening up the demon portal. But really, like, this movie it succeeds because the action scenes in it are really quite excellent and very eccentric. For example, there's a scene halfway through the movie where there's a guy named Mephisto who Kyoya and Sayaka go to like, I think they get like help, like they get like information from him. And then right as like they leave, Mephisto bumps into this demon lady, and I can't remember what her name is, but and she's mad hot, and he's kind of you get the sense that Mephisto's kind of hot too, and like they're talking, and they go to like this bar to have like a drink, and there's like this scene where like they're fighting in this like bar with like these pool tables and stuff, and like they bump the pool table, and like the balls are flying around while they're having their scuffle, and it's just like you kind of have to see the scene to get the full feel of it, but it has like this very It Factor style to the fight scene where like the pool balls are going into the holes, and he ends up like pinning her down like on the bar, and she's like trying to spit acid at him, and he's like, ooh, like acid breath, like like making puns about it. And then he's like, I wonder what happens when I mix your like hydrochloric acid with like alcohol. And he takes like this bottle of alcohol and he just jams it in her mouth, and like she just fucking explodes and her head explodes, and it's fucking crazy.
I still don't know if they're fighting or you're just explaining a sex scene. I'm still
confused. it's a little sexual.
Either way,
and it's rumbling and tumbling.
It's a little.
Either way, I'm turned on. So
there you go. I had to do it balls. And I mean, there's like, it's a little bit of both, because like there's like sexual tension there, but in the end you've realized that like a lot like the girl in Wicked City who tried to chop off the dude's dick with her vagina dentata, really she's just there to like kill him, and she's like a snake lady, so she's like coiling him up in her like with her her snakeness and whatever, and and in the end he just blows her to fucking pieces. And there's like all kinds of these really bizarre fight scenes in this. Like the fight scene in the beginning with Kyoya's father and Rebi Ra is excellent. It's so dark and so eccentric, and just something that you don't really see anymore in anime. So like if people want to go back and check this out, you'll get a good feel for like this other side of like the medium that like hasn't been around for quite a while. Because I'm pretty convinced that like other than Devilman Crybaby, there really hasn't been an anime like this or Wicked City or like this or Midnight Eye Goku in like quite some time. It's just like back then, anime was just like the color tones were darker, the style was weirder, and anime is like brighter and I honestly feel like a little happier nowadays. And this stuff is just like super fucking bizarre. And it's just like this chain of super atmospheric, violent fight scenes that are, just make the show worth watching. And this is really short. It's literally, it plays as a 79-minute movie. And so Demon City Shinjuku is just like a classic, super classic anime, by the way. Like, you hear about it all the time, but it's like, but people haven't seen it. Go check it out. It's on Retro Crush again. I'm gonna keep watching these like really old, bizarre shows because like they just hit me, like I said, right in the cockles, right in the right spot, make my little wee feel happy.
Did you talk about Cyber City 808 yet?
I haven't. Are you recommending that?
I'm saying you should watch the dub of that. I think I've brought it up before, but that's one of those so bad it's good dubs.
Okay.
Where there's some like classic lines that everyone like quotes and it makes no sense even with context. And it's very similar, exactly, very similar vibe of like Goku Midnight Eye, where it's kind of that cyberpunk where things happen, and if you ask why, you're asking the wrong questions. But if you're just like in for the ride, give it a shot. I think it's like 3 episodes long.
Got it. Yeah, I'll check that out.
So many good anime recommendations from you guys. This is fantastic. I really should be writing these down. Honestly, I say good.
That's why we do.
Yeah, exactly.
That's one reason why I think this segment is good, because people that listen can like write stuff down and find things that they want to watch. So let's see here. Where should we go from here? Shaun has some more stuff written down, but we're going to cover it later.
Any other seasonals you've been digging besides Nagatoro and Eternity?
Well, I wouldn't say I'm digging Nagatoro. I just said I've been watching it.
Shh, don't tell them. Spoilers.
Seasonal is off the top of my brain. I mean, I've just been watching a lot of the new season stuff. Like, I've been watching Hero Aka because again, Shonen Trash, I can't stop myself.
You're 4 seasons deep. You might as well keep it going.
Seriously. I mean, I'm caught up in the manga as well, so I'm just curious to see how they animate everything at this point. Plus, I love Studio Bones. And, I mean, I'm technically watching everything. I also just started Tokyo Revengers, and I'm thinking it could be pretty good. It's given me some Erased vibes so far.
Yep.
Which, hey, I'd love a good Erased style show with a not rushed ending in the anime version. That'd be great.
It's always a tough call to see how it'll turn out. Have you been watching those Snow White Notes, the shamisen anime?
Oh, that's actually next on my list. I'm looking. I've heard some good things about it though.
It is phenomenal.
Really.
Episode 1's a little all over the place, and I've kind of been looking for an excuse to shill it on this podcast because we didn't pass it for impressions, but it's good. How about Backflip? How about that one? The Noi Tamina show where they do like rhythmic gymnastics.
Oh, that one.
Rakuten.
You know what? I completely forgot that one existed. I'm sorry.
I think everybody did. It's okay. You're good.
But hey, if you're singing its praises, I'll happily go and watch it.
Well, it sounds like you're already got a lot on your plate, but it's all good. It's all good.
I always do. I have to look at old shows. I have to look at new shows. I have to keep up with my VTuber addiction. It's a big bag.
So how do you determine what to attack your co-host with? I know you do like listener polls where they can vote on how to best ruin his life. But how do you go about, like, do you pick seasonal shows? Do you pick older shows? What's your process?
So the way I do it is at any given time I'll have about 5 or 6 different shows prepared. And it really honestly depends on the vibe of the previous episode.
Gotcha.
So a lot of times, like, if we cover a really, really big shonen,
like Jujutsu Kaisen,
I will completely shift gears to something different. Maybe I'll do a niche shoujo, or maybe I'll do a Ghibli movie, which I think is what we did recently, because we just dropped our episode on When Marnie Was There today, or yesterday.
Gotcha.
So, I like to have nice big tonal shifts here and there. But sometimes if there's something really good we talk about in a previous episode, I will shift it to the next episode to kind of keep the conversation going. Like, we did an episode on Naruto, which, that's kind of a
big deal.
Big thing to talk about. But then I immediately did a Jujutsu Kaisen one just because of all the major comparisons you can make between the shows, and then shifted to when Marnie was there. That way, there's a bit of a tonal shift, and we can enjoy things. A lot of times, I'll just go based on pure recommendations. I really do need to do more general polls just to let people decide what they want to hear. But it's a matter of whether or not I feel comfortable sharing, talking about this show with my co-host and do it in a justifiable way, because there have been times where I have horribly failed at presenting a show, and it can lead to some angry emails.
we know it.
Especially hate us. We don't have some nice things to say about Attack on Titan, and we've received death threats, like straight up.
Wow.
Some weebs are very protective of their favorite shows. It's insane. But honestly, it's just kind of a case-by-case basis. And sometimes I'll change it at the last minute, where I'm like, oh yeah, I have this prepared, and I've had it prepared for like a year. Maybe I should just get this out of the way now. But then there are some shows where it's like, I want to show him JoJo's Part 3, but that's over 40 episodes, and I can't force him to sit down and watch more than 10 at any given time. So I have to decide how much I want to show and how much would be a good impression, and when it would be appropriate to revisit it. It's a weird, complex, improvisational process.
Yeah.
Well, 10 episodes is a lot, so.
It is a lot for most people.
All right. Well, Mason, I know you had a couple more here on your list, but
I'm good.
I think we got to go to the news break so we can get to the second half of the show here. So.
We got an intro trivia question for you while we go on a news break, and that is, To Your Eternity is based on a manga by Yoshitoki Oima, who also created what work that was adapted by Kyoto Animation. We'll let you know in just a few minutes. Stay tuned. See you there.
Anime Addicts, Mitsuki is here, bringing you a delicious dose of your anime news, leading us off today with a Bandai Namco Arts announcement via their official website that an original TV anime titled, quote, Healer Girl is going to be coming out here pretty soon, produced by Studio 3 Hertz of Flip Flappers and Sword Art Online alternative Gun Gale Online. The story will follow 4 girls who seek to use their songs to heal and soothe the people of the world. So if you are a fan of, well, I guess cute girls doing very nice things, look out for Healer Girl, directed by Yasuhiro Irie of Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, which makes it a little bit more interesting. Next up, the Osamu Tezuka Award has announced its 25th winner. The contest started as a cultural prize established in 1997 and is a prize awarded to manga creators and their works that follow the Osamu Tezuka manga approach. And this year, for the 25th award, the grand prize was given to a work called Land by Kazumi Yamashita. And the new work prize went to Souzo no Frieren by Kanehito. If you are a fan of manga, you might want to look up the winners of the Osamu Tezuka Awards, because these are apparently significant achievements in the work of manga. So check out that at your own leisure. Next up, the original anime film Cherry and Virgin has been announced with crowdfunding. So Toei Video announced that this film would be created, marking Masanao Kawaji's feature film as a director. And it's going to be coming out as early as summer of 2022. It's a romantic comedy featuring 32-year-old Ero manga author Ryo and a 28-year-old Fujoshi Ami. Neither character is great at interacting with members of the opposite gender. However, Ryo is somewhat of an otaku and defenseless against women, and Ami does not have good impression of 3D men. So a very interesting relationship there between the two of them as they, I assume, explore what will be one of their first relationships. As I said, this was crowdfunded, so Toei Video and Kawajiri launched a crowdfunding campaign to raise funds for the advertising and for hopes to submit it to overseas festivals, and they raised about $3,800 towards their goal of 27,000 as of April 28th, and it's going to end on August 16th. So I'm not a big fan of crowdfunding, but if you want to go support this, you can go support Cherry and Virgin, which is supposed to come out here in mid-2022. If it looks interesting to you, check it out. Next up, another new anime announcement, Megami Ro no Ryobu-kun, or Dorm Mother of the Goddess Dorm. The manga is going to be getting a TV anime that's going to premiere very soon in just this summer in July. Story centers around 12-year-old boy Koshi Nagumo, who finds himself homeless, penniless, and without relatives to care for him. As he lies on the street, he gets picked up by the, quote, dorm mother of a dormitory full of troubled women's university students, and surrounded by all of these older women, he begins his, quote, ecchi new life. So if you're a fan of ecchi comedies, you're going to want to check out Dorm Mother of the Goddess Dorm for sure. The director is Shunsuke Nakashige of Sword Art Online Alicization and the sequel of Alicization. So look out for Dorm Mother of the Goddess Dorm coming out this summer. This was Mitsugi, and this was your anime news break. And now, time to get back to the podcast. Anime Addicts, the AAA podcast, is always trying to bring you new and exciting ways to enjoy our content, and now we have an exclusive member-only RSS feed on the site that is going to let you access our hentai episodes, our Hobby Addicts, and our After Parties episodes, all from your favorite mobile apps. That's an additional 8 episodes of content per month just for you, and you can listen to it through Apple Podcasts app, you can listen to it through Podcast Addicts, Pocket Cast, Overcast FM, Downcast FM, etc., onward and onward. So many mobile apps for you to choose from. If you were holding back on supporting the podcast because you didn't like listening to our extra content through our website, now you can get it and listen to it the same way you enjoy all your other podcasts. So pitch in, help out the podcast, do a good thing, and enjoy all the extra content we have for you. Just go to aaapodcast.com/join, and you will get all this extra content and an exclusive member RSS feed for you to enjoy. That's aaapodcast.com/join, and support the podcast.
Hey, this is Miley Flanagan, the voice of Naruto Uzumaki, and I am an anime addict. Use your Rasengan!
And now, great moments in Anime Addicts Anonymous history.
If the three of us are like horses pulling like a wagon, and the wagon is this podcast, written on the side of the wagon it says, watching anime, okay? And there's like these two badass fucking stallions that are Mandy and Mason, and they're in the front, and they're all like, I'm pulling this cart because I'm a horse. And that's what I do. Oh, and give me a carrot. And then Mitz is like crippled. They thought about shooting me like the day before, but they're like, you know what?
We ate you.
He can still fucking try. But in reality, like along the way, I fell, and I'm just being dragged behind the two stallions. And at the end of the day, they're going to shoot me and they're going to eat me because this is the fucking Oregon Trail, and that's how things happen. So I don't know.
Oh shit, we all have dysentery.
I don't know what to tell you.
So since you mentioned Castlevania is great. That would be a great thing to watch on Friday, and I watched the whole thing one day.
It is great. Why do you have to tramp your carrot munching, shiny coated?
We have to cut you loose.
hard.
We've been dragging you dead weight for so long. We had to just cut you loose.
Mandy's like, look at my mane, the mane and the tail.
Yeah.
They even named a shampoo after it. And then and Mitz is like, dead, and there's flies, There's flies everywhere. It's the humanity. Welcome back to the podcast. We had an intro trivia question for you, and the question was, To Your Eternity is based on a manga by Yoshitoki Oima, who also created what work that was adapted by KyoAni. People on Twitch know the answer is A Silent Voice. So for those of you at home that also knew the answer, good job. You get nothing, but,
Get pride.
You get some respect, I guess, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, if it works for Saiyans, it should work for us, right?
Yeah. I should say so. All right, guys. Now, we haven't done this segment in a while, but every once in a while we have some hot new releases we want to talk about, which, basically just big titles that we want to that were announced, and we're going to go over them with you right now.
It's time for hot new anime releases.
God, you can't forget that boing.
Oh, you love that, don't you? You
I
love
do.
it.
It makes my
I was
day.
surprised by the boing. I've never heard the boing. It made my day, honestly.
It is the Yu Yu Hakusho like eye catch sound effect. And you always forget it's there until it shows up, and it's great. Anyway,
Good old Koenma.
We'll blast through these because we are already a bit behind schedule. First up, the Free franchise is announcing its 2-part final movie release date thing. So Kyoto Animation live streamed a event for the 8th anniversary of the Free franchise. Wow, I can't even talk today. And that they said that the final installment in the franchise will be called Free: The Final Stroke. It will be a 2-part film project. The first will open in Japan on September 17th of this year, and the second part will open on August 22nd, 2022. So this is said to be the final chapter for the franchise. Have you guys been keeping up with it at all? I know there's been a few spin-off movies and seasons. Are you guys fans of the Free series?
Free is pretty enjoyable as a sports anime, for the most part. I haven't actually kept
Good way
up
to put
myself. It does some things really well, and it's gorgeous as all KyoAni productions are. But there's just something about it that doesn't make me as enthralled. Also, the final stroke. That's
Really. It's a bold move, Captain. We'll see how that pays off for him.
Yeah.
I'm such a child, but I can't help it.
I mean, you get it. You're like, oh, it's a swimming stroke. But yeah, come on. They knew what they were doing.
I mean, it's such a yaoi baity show that you
can't help it.
They had to know, right?
Exactly. I like Free though. I've been keeping with it. It's not a great show.
Wait. Oh, and boom goes the dynamite.
But I enjoy it. I'll watch it. I'll let you know how it is.
I don't give two flying fucks about Free. So.
He gives no strokes for Free.
I don't give no strokes.
I will shoot get to the final one because you can't even start.
I will shoot no loads. Nothing of the sort.
Moving on. Netflix reveals the trailer for the 4th season of Castlevania. Also, supposed to be the final season. This will be 10 episodes long, like season 3 before it. They, I think, announced that maybe they'll continue kind of in the same franchise or universe with a different series, but I think, Mitz, you have been keeping up with this?
This is how I feel about this news. I fucking love the Castlevania series. It's so good. It's all 3 seasons have been super awesome. So, yes, very hyped.
Slight confession.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't seen season 3 yet.
Oh, come on. Where's that?
Please don't hurt me. I know.
Where's my boo drop? I have a boo drop in here somewhere.
Shame.
Yeah. No, I got it here. There we go.
I mean, that sounds like Castlevania right there. That sounds like how the show sounds.
And I enjoyed the first 2 seasons too. I don't know why I haven't watched the 3rd one yet.
You were waiting till the 4th. You were keeping it in your back pocket. That's right. That's right.
Yeah, I'm waiting till the 4th. That way I can binge it all at once. That's the plan.
Exactly. And it says that it will stream the 4th season on May 13th. So I guess it's time to start binging the 3rd if you haven't yet.
Yeah.
It's not Friday. It's not Friday the 13th though. I kind of had I thought they might go for the cliche, but they didn't.
Put off a release for how many months it takes.
The last one is that regardless of what I thought, Madhouse is not apparently dead. It's like, where did they go? So it looks like they're going to be producing an original TV anime for 2021 called Sunny Boy. So it looks like, it looks. I like I like Madhouse a lot, so I'm pretty excited about all this. The director is Shingo Natsume, who did One Punch Man. It's got some of the same staff on it that were on The Great Pretender. So it's pretty exciting to see an original anime by Madhouse, period, because I just like the cut of their jib, I guess. But the synopsis was empty classrooms, boring days. It was supposed to be a normal summer vacation. However, the school begins to drift through another dimension, and 36 boys and girls are left there, awakening to their supernatural abilities. So it sounds like an interesting storyline. So with definitely an interesting looking art style. I also love Madhouse's sort of approach to like character design. So, and this one's definitely looking good. So I don't know. Madhouse is probably one of my favorite studios. So they've been around for freaking ever. So big respect.
Yeah, I'm excited for this.
Yeah.
I'm always ready to jump on a new Madhouse show. I've rarely been disappointed.
All right. Well, shall we move on quickly to mailbags?
Let's do it.
It's time for an almighty anime mailbag.
You're all alone today. You
Anime.
Don't you
do it. I can't stop me.
Don't you do it, Shaun.
Anime.
Mailbag. There we go.
There we go. He joined me. He was tapping his finger. I'll count it. Please believe me. This mailbag comes from Ahmed, and like you, he has great questions. And if you have questions, you can leave them at our website at aaapodcast.com. At the top, there's the mailbag button to leave all your requests and Shark Tanks and all that good stuff. So, please do so. Ahmed writes, "Hi everyone, thank you very much for helping to make our days brighter. Has any one of you felt that their taste in anime is changing with time? When I started watching anime, quote-unquote, intentionally, I was always looking for series with deep, complicated storylines. Most of these series I used to watch belong to genres like psychological or drama, and I used to feel like simple shoujo and shonen titles were not enough to satisfy my appetite. But strangely enough, I feel like this mindset has changed as I am getting older, as I am starting to enjoy shonen anime more and more. I'm currently watching Jujutsu Kaisen and a bunch of other shows that are all shonen and that are pretty solid. I wonder if this is related to the fact as one gets older, life becomes more and more complicated. You end up looking for simple things to escape reality rather than shows with heavier themes. Thank you for that very well thought out question, Ahmed. Shaun, as our guest, what do you think?
I get first dibs, huh?
You do indeed.
Fantastic. Honestly, I don't think my taste as so much has changed as much as it has grown. The more and more I discover I enjoy is shocking, because I used to just be your typical nerdy shonen loving kid. I didn't really have much interest in exploring anything with a more deeper plot or a more like human plot, because I just liked watching the big robots punch the other big robots and like the kamehamehas and all that jazz. But then, like, started in high school, I started watching more things like Clanad and other like more moe romantic slice of life things, some more surreal comedy shows, some more just humanizing fantastic shows. So honestly, I just think that especially after starting a podcast, I have broadened my scopes to watch just about anything and find enjoyment in just about everything, including the enjoyment of watching something horrible. So while, yeah, I think my tastes have changed, I just think it's more of a positive, like, growth and change rather than just a, I like this, but now I like this. It's more of a, I like this, but this is wonderful type of feeling.
Adding more genres to your bag of, like, good stuff can come from here. And
exactly.
It seems like you're just meeting him from the other side of the spectrum.
Like, one of my favorite anime of all time currently is A Place Further Than the Universe, which, I mean, that's a cute girls doing cute things show, and it's fantastic and wonderful.
Probably wouldn't have given it the time of day 10 years ago when you weren't looking for that kind of show.
Yeah, no, and instead I watched it and cried like a baby because, it hit me right here.
Those penguins, man, they get you.
Oh, they're so cute. Penguins are so cute. You just want to pick them up and hug them and then hear them squawk. Right? It's the best.
How about you, Mitz?
I think I'm going to agree with Ahmed. Like, I think that it's spot on to say that life is just like so complicated and busy and full of shit. Like, it's like I get up at 5, I go to the gym, I come home. There's like a whole hour of like doing things that, get me ready for work. Then I go to work, then I come home and I'm fucking exhausted. And I get home at like 5:30, and then it's like, the last thing I need to be doing is like deconstructing themology and like anime. It's like I don't have like the brain cells left at any point in any day to do that. So, I feel like I used to enjoy mostly anything. I used to watch stuff like Love Hina, when I was younger. I used to watch serious stuff like Habane Renmei, and enjoy like picking them apart and understanding potentially like what a show like Habane is about. Today it's like I don't really enjoy the super dumb stuff. I think I'm gonna get nothing from like Tonikaku Kawaii, as we've seen. The slice of life stuff bores me, but I'm not necessarily hunting down like the really deep shows either. I think today I prefer action and just like things that are weird and different. We've already talked about how much I'm enjoying exploring like the old stuff from the 80s, but like anything that's just not going to require me to put forth a lot of thought, that won't annoy the shit out of me, that is also just like totally different, and just bizarre. Because as we've seen in anime, there's so many anime that are very samey. Like, how many isekai shows are we gonna get where the same fucking thing happens in every single one of them? And it's like, for every, I'd like to look for the shows that bring something a little different to the table, even if I have to go back 30 years in time to find them. So, but yeah, I definitely agree. Like, I just don't have the brain power to like barely even read subtitles, let alone, deconstructing something. So. It's pretty much where I am, I think.
I agree with Mitz that I am always looking for something that feels fresh and unique and enjoyable, and not, as you mentioned, the run-of-the-mill stuff that comes up season after season and just fatigues you with the same old trite stuff. I just don't like anything, so that's my secret. Is if you don't like anything ever, you never change. And I like every genre. I think every genre can produce a great piece of work. I just am very picky about those works. So I don't think I've changed too much over time, but it's hard to see on such a small scale. So thanks for the great mailbag, and we'll probably keep on moving along, but don't forget to submit your mailbags as well.
Today, we're going to be doing impressions.
Impression time! Believe it!
Believe it. It's time for impressions. People who are listening that don't know our system, every season right now we're each picking 7 shows apiece, the 3 hosts. So we're covering 21 shows from the season. And of those 21 shows, 6 of them will get selected to have a review done. So most shows do not get picked. And then after we're done going through all 21 shows, the listeners get to pick the final 3 that we will be reviewing, which brings the total to 9. Right now, we started our impressions last week, and I'm the only one that's passed anything so far. I passed Godzilla SP, the Netflix show. And today we're going to be doing another handful of shows, starting off with one of mine, which I will just kick right into right now. Cestvs, the Roman Fighter, which is, it feels a lot like the movie Gladiator, sort of, without the drama. But Cestvs takes place
it was just Cestvs, and it's just like a fancy way of writing the U.
I don't fucking know. I guess
I could be wrong.
Cestus. Yeah, maybe you're right. Cestus. Apparently in Japanese they say Cesstasu. I'm looking at the katakana right here, so Cestas. So I guess that's probably right.
It could be Old Latin, considering the setting.
Could be.
Or like Sustus, because he's real sus.
It's done by Bandai Namco, so it's definitely a CG anime, so keep that in mind. So I think that's just going to turn people off like immediately, honestly, if I had to be perfectly frank. But it takes place in ancient Rome in like 54 AD. And there's a boy who was an orphan that was made into a slave and placed into a school for fighting. They call it pugilism or whatever. And right off the bat, they give you a fairly cliche storyline of if you win 100 fights, you'll earn your freedom. And it's like, it seems like most of the time when you don't win, you get killed. So either you get killed in combat, or like the emperor or whoever just, wants to watch you be decapitated for shits. So, we all know the thumbs up, thumbs down, like cliche from movies and whatnot. And that's pretty much where we are with this show. I think it really sucks though. You got to win 100 fights in a row. That's like you'd have to win March Madness like 12 times in a row to earn your freedom. Like, you're basically fucked. But Cestus is, he's really good in hand-to-hand combat, and there's just like a lot of fighting scenes in this, and scenes of like imagery from old Rome. Like there's, you know, people walking around in that type of clothing with that kind of architecture in like, you know, the old Roman city, and, you know, they're riding on a cart to go from like, you know, I'm trying to think of like Roman cities. I can't off the top of my head, but like go to one city to the other for fighting. And then there's like some scenes in here of them training and you know, having fisticuffs and whatnot. And to be honest, I didn't really find the CG to be as bad as I think people have said. I think I'm a little more patient with CG than most, but I would say that this is somewhere between... It's like about the level of like the original Knights of Sidonia, I would say. It's pretty close to that, you know. It's not like Ajin good, but like it's Polygon Pictures maybe like first shot at CG. I would say it's like maybe not quite as good as the original Knights of Sidonia, but it's better than like the original Kingdom, I would say. And I'm a little intrigued by this anime, honestly. Like it's a little different, you know. I enjoy seeing, you know, aqueducts and like the old shit that you'd see in like old ancient Rome, but like the story, it hasn't done much. I mean, there's not through 3 episodes. Like honestly, borderline nothing has really happened in this. I mean, I basically explained everything that happened already. Like they just do like the couple sentences of the synopsis, and you know, this one's not gonna pass. But like, I mean, if I had to like rank all 7 of my shows, this one's probably like, it's not at the bottom. You know, I wouldn't say it's at the bottom. It's like, you know. But I might keep watching it on my own just because I'm a little intrigued on where the story's gonna head, you know, and see what kind of entertainment this one can bring me. But ultimately, there's no freaking way I can pass this one. I've got at least 3 shows that are seriously worth considering, you know, continuing for reviews, and Cestvs is just not one of them. So, you know.
Were you expecting? Sorry, go ahead.
At least it's not Berserk 2016, right?
I was about to say we don't mention that, but it's about at that level of CG.
Oh, is it? Oh.
I think it's
it's like the Promised Neverland season 2. It'll never happen.
I think it looks a little better than Berserk 2016, but
I wasn't expecting this like brutal barbaric gladiator show to have so many boys just blushing all the time.
Well, it is ancient Rome. Maybe.
It is, and I that's the only part saving the show for me. Like seeing like, oh, that's Nero. Like I know what's gonna happen to him. I wonder how they're gonna do that. Like that's really the only reason I'm like still watching this show.
So the history nerd in you is just like, haha,
exactly.
I wonder how this is going to be affected.
Yeah, Nero is definitely one of the main characters. But, like, I think to me, I was surprised by how much freedom the slaves have. Like, they're just kind of wandering through town. Like, willy-nilly, like, okay. So, but yes, Cestvs is not going to pass. But better luck next time. Goodbye.
All right, well, my first show is going to be To Your Eternity. And I believe if Shaun has anything to say, please jump in and help me out with this thing. So this is on Crunchyroll. It's done by Brainsbase. They did Inspector, Gakuen Babysitters, and Fukumenki Noise. If you want the short version, I will be passing the show, and I recommend going in blind. So it's a bit sad. It's a bit gruesome. So if you want like to skip just the smallest of spoilers, skip like 2 minutes into this episode. That said, episode 1 of this is killer. It's a bit more of a tone piece than the actual representation of the story to come. Episode 2 isn't where you should start watching, but it's really where the arc begins. Also, I'll add that in addition to being a little bit of an epilepsy warning, the opening is very highly spoilerific, so maybe look away during that as well. Anyway, this tells the story of a immortal orb, that's a rock, that's a wolf, that's a bunch of other things if it so chooses. And while being a wolf in the Arctic, it encounters a lonely boy, and at the end of the first episode decides, hey, it'd be pretty cool if I could be a human as well. So he kind of takes the form of the boy to resume its aimless journey across the landscape. And episode 2 kind of continues with him learning to move and act as a human. We learn about this rural village in the mountains that engage in some good old-fashioned ritual children sacrifice to appease some forest spirits. And we meet our second main character, who's just this orca-looking young girl who's just trying her best not to be killed at a young age, but that doesn't seem to be in the cards for her. So that's kind of the setup for this entire series. Being a fan of the manga, I thought the first 2 episodes were very solid. They captured the beauty and the brutality of nature, and it kind of carries through to the 3rd episode where there's this absolutely vicious encounter with guts and blood and all this gruesomeness on display, and it's pretty darn cool. The The music is really solid. The atmosphere is great. And it's just a simple but unique premise of our MC being this like developing alien creature kind of thing. My problem and concern with the show that I will be overlooking because I'm passing it is kind of the first half of episode 3. It kind of starts off with like this 3-minute recap, and it has some like egregious animation elements and questionable pacing. So like I'm hoping that this being a 20 episode series doesn't get stuck in these ruts that is kind of already showed. But that said, besides all that, I think I'm pleased with the efforts. I think it is landing the big moments when it needs to. This is the story of like mortality and morality through like an entity that possesses neither. I'm hoping it will capture the spirit of the manga and inspire more people to check it out. So I will be passing it. Shaun, what do you think about this show?
So we talked about how I love shows that explore humanity.
Mm-hmm.
What better way to explore humanity than to have a character that isn't human?
There you go.
And the sheer amount of emotional weight from what is essentially a animalistic creature, following, like, our main character hasn't really said a thing, yet everything around him that's happening is super emotionally charged that I was blown away because I hadn't heard of this story beforehand. I'm definitely gonna go read the manga now because of it. But as soon as I jumped,
so gorgeous.
Yeah, like I was like, this seems an orb, an orb. I don't know if I can get behind an orb. I am behind the orb. The orb.
Team Orb.
Team Orb. The orb is my waifu at this point. And I am just blown away by how shockingly human they are, making everything seem to be just with the pure contrast of a non-human entity. Like, the entire first episode had me enraptured the entire time. If you were going to pass any show this season, like, this is pretty high on the list of ones you need to go and watch immediately. Like, just have a box of tissues nearby if you're sensitive to those kinds of things. Like, me.
It's a bit rough, but yeah, I'm glad you dug it as much as I did. And oh my goodness, I actually said something good about a show for once. Wow, that should tell you everything you need to know.
I'm just amazed that Brainspace is capable of making an anime that doesn't suck. So
they have some rough
They
patches
suck.
And pop out, nail a show, and then go back into hibernating. So it's
yeah,
not
they
bad so
are.
far.
Yeah.
They easily could have made a lot of these animals CG and look horrendous, and maybe they will. It's only been 3 episodes, but I've got faith.
All right.
Crossed.
All right. Well, here's your drop.
You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. Lock it up. Lock it up.
I need to lock up some more pass drops. All right. So this next anime, I believe we're back to me now here. And by the way, a second pass. Hooray. All right. Isekai Mao to Toshokan Shoujo no Dore Majutsu is basically How to Not Summon a Demon Lord Season 2. Boy. Well,
Shaun just like, eject.
So, this anime starts off with with an encounter in the woods with the new girl that like is in the show, and I'm trying to find her fucking name because all that I can remember about her are her breasts. Her name is.
I mean, they are front and center, mate.
Yeah. Yes.
Most of the time.
Very much so.
Literally, yeah.
I think it's Luma China is her name. I think they call her Luma, and she basically gets like tentacle raped right in the beginning of this anime. I'm sure there's going to be an uncensored version, and she's going to be like straight up just like, oh man. So in the woods by this guy, and I took 2 screen caps right off the bat because I was teasing Pancake. She hates this shit so much. She fucking hates these types of anime so much. Her words would be so vile and so offensive if I allowed her to come on here and talk about this. She would offend everybody. But yeah, it's just like, I don't know. How did I summon a Demon Lord? First of all, they had a studio change. So this is now Studio Tezuka Productions. It used to be Agia Do. So they have changed studios. I don't really think it shows. I mean, this anime actually looks better than most of the shows I've got. I think it certainly is probably in the top half of the shows I'm watching in terms of visuals. Now, I'm not necessarily speaking about the animation quality, but just like the way that it looks, I think is more appealing than something like Cestvs or even something like Shaman King. I think it looks better than that. So
good wallpapers, not good animation.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, the characters are all like pretty and the designs are nice, but I don't know if it really moves any better than any other show. But the story is not really all that different. You still have the main character Diablo, who's like the super OP. He's like level 160 in this isekai world, and they find this girl. He's like practicing this new magic and like just happens to fall out of the sky and lands on top of the monster that's tentacle raping Luma, which leads him to bring her back to like their hotel or wherever their fucking inn that they're at, and so they kind of take her in, and then they agree to like help her out, which sets them off on a journey. And she's part of this church that is, there's like members of the church that want to kill her. So there's like, I feel like there's like bad sects of the church and good sects of the church, and they're kind of, it's kind of like a cliche storyline where there's like, oh, part of this church is evil. They're probably going to be like worshiping demons or something, at the end of it all. And they're just traveling from town to town, trying to help out Luma with what she needs done, and it leads them to run into different people that are part of the church that are also powerful. There's a couple like villain characters that end up being bad, that are part of the Paladin Order or whatever the fuck they're called, that are not especially friendly, which is really just an excuse to like have a couple of fight scenes where Diablo shows you that he's super OP, and then there's plenty of scenes with Diablo and Shara like getting into the bathtub naked together, and Shara walks in and she's like, "Oh, master," like, "Oh," and she's like insanely hot, and she's like, "Oh, look how fucking hot I am," and I'm wearing like a metal slave collar, which is kinky, and now I'm just gonna take all my clothes off, and can I get in the tub with you? And he's like, "Oh my god, like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? Oh, wait a second, I'm Diablo. I need to act like a badass." And so he like fakes it, and she gets in the tub, and then everybody watching gets to watch like Shara pressing her like stiff nipples against Diablo's back while she washes him. And that's basically like, what this anime is. So it's like, here's a scene of a girl getting tentacle raped, action scene. Here's a scene of like Shara's stiff nipples, soaping up and like, giving a nudu massage to Diablo while he blushes. And then there's like there's a shot where they take it a step further, and she's like, "Oh, it's so long and hard too," and like they show her basically like stroking him, but it's like all blacked out so you can't see. And then but you can definitely see that she's like stroking his cock or whatever. And then they show what's really happening, and she's like washing one of his horns because he's got horns, and they do that kind of shit. And this is like the kind of anime that we would save for like a hentai episode, where we would like grab the uncensored version and watch 2 episodes of it just to see like what's up. Because Shara, she's definitely hot. She's definitely like one of those hot, like D-lit fucking elf characters. I'm not saying she's as hot as D-lit because nobody is, but she's the same type of character. Elf ears, long blonde hair, blue eyes, attractive figure or whatever. And that's pretty much what Demon Lord is. If I passed this, my girlfriend would hang me from the ceiling. But the honest truth is that this is basically like, of shows we won't pass that are going to be eligible, this is like the 2nd or 3rd most watched show of the season, so we're going to end up watching this anyway. So, but I'm not going to pass it. That way, it's not like it was my fault.
It's I'm gonna leave. It's the weeb's fault.
It's
not mine.
It'll be your fault, guys, not mine. And then we'll have Pancake come on and review it with us, and she'll tell her exactly what she thinks of certain slices of the anime population, the community that gets off on like this kind of shit. So anyway, it's not gonna pass. I don't hate this anime at all. Like I really don't hate it. It's just there's really not much happening, and certainly nothing new happening. So you saw it all before with season 1. So it's just gonna make a shitload of money though, because it's what it is.
Just another horny isekai, am I right?
Just another night of letting a hot elf girl with E cup breasts wash your back naked in a tub.
oh joy. This is like the only show from the season where I'm just like, no, I'm not gonna even give it a chance.
He never scores with these chicks. They all want him. It's so ridiculous, and he's got the worst blue balls I've ever seen. Like, it's got to be utter painful for this guy. He is being tormented. I don't know. It's
he
like,
called
God
himself
damn
Diablo.
it.
I have no sympathy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, calling yourself Diablo is definitely small PP energy. So, moving on.
Final impression of the episode. My pick is Ijiranade Nagatoro-san, a.k.a. Don't Toy With Me, Miss Nagatoro. This is based on the hyper-popular manga. You can find it over on Crunchyroll. And I'm going to apologize right now.
Uh-oh.
Discord, we had a good watch party. We were hanging out. We spent like 4 hours until like 2 a.m. with my boy Wormy. He's our wonder kid of Nagatoro emotes on the Discord. And he's really vibing with the show. And
you're going to break his
had
heart.
a good time hanging out. But listen, I think anyone who's listened to this podcast long enough, as he does, knows that this is not my type of show. That said, Nagatoro tells the story of titular Nagatoro, who's a freshman in high school, who loves teasing and bullying her introverted male classmate, simply known as Senpai. She takes pleasure from this and kind of goes out of her way to track him down and berate, harass, and insult him until he reaches a point of tears. Now, I will say, I've heard that the anime tones down the severity of the bullying from the beginning and makes it a little more digestible. That said, it just makes both of them seem like losers to me, because Nagatoro is guilelessly cruel, and she berates him with the most laziest, lowbrow means that just make it seem more like fetishistic torment to people who enjoy this show. Not that if her taunts were clever, it would excuse her actions, but it would make the show maybe a bit more entertaining. Like, if you think of Teasing Master Takagi-san, like, she's like the queen of like 4D bullying chess, where she like thinks like 3 levels ahead of the guy to make him, flustered, whereas Nagatoro just like yeets this dude into guardrails and laughs at him. Like, it is really as aggravating and shallow as I was afraid of. And if I thought Nagatoro herself was bad, her compatriots are really gems of like decency, because we get just bullying lines where like one character just repeats what the other one says, and then the other one just has absolutely just brilliant, clever taunts like, "Have you ever squeezed boobs before? Haha, loser, pervert, virgin. Do you want to touch my boobs?" And then they force him to grab her boobs, and she's like, "Haha, LOL, big reveal. I just have bread under my shirt. Wow, got him, big time. Wow,
got him!
Got him, boys."
He's nuts.
The show is full of like awkward pacing. It feels so plotting and empty, and it's like leaving room for a laugh that isn't there. Like, am I supposed to feel sympathy for him? Am I supposed to think that it's funny? Like, I don't feel anything. And I will say, like, episode 2 is arguably less inferior, and while episode 3 kind of eases off the bullying gas, like, it's simply not compelling, because like Senpai just cannot perceive Nagatoro and anyone associated with her as anything other than like causing him duress and harassment. Like, even her dog, he imagines as being tormented by, because he is so far like beaten down by her. And like, the only time he can relax and be himself is when she is literally unconscious, which is not a great look for like a budding romance or relationship. Like, it looks good for a comedy, sure, and it does a mostly good job of hiding its cost-cutting techniques. And if you're watching the show for like the collage of reaction faces, have a blast. But like, anything more than that is a disappointment. If it scratches your masochistic desire to be bullied, I guess my harsh impression is just what the doctor ordered, so you're welcome. Shaun, what do you think of this show?
Oh, you kind of hit the nail on the head there, mate. So I've also read like maybe 20 chapters of the manga as well, just because, I've heard about it for years. It was like, hey, have you read Nagatoro yet? Hey, have you read Nagatoro yet? Hey, look at this little Gyaru beat the crap out of this older guy. Yeah. And I'm like, all right, I'll give it a read. And I do say that later on in the manga, the relationship does butt into like an actual relationship type of deal, and it does get a little on the wholesome side of things. But very clearly, this is an anime designed for people who have that heavy masochistic side to them, because it's very much a, hey, please step on me, a type of thing. But
Stomp my nuts.
basically, and that's fine. That's okay. Like, if this is what you like and enjoy and are into, great. But I found myself constantly flip-flopping between tones of true abusive relationships, which, yikes, as well as, the kind of mediocre comedy element. Although I will say the reaction images from this manga and this anime are on point. Like, I'm probably going to be stealing a bunch of GIFs and clips from the show just for that purpose. But, like, it's fine. It's okay. I just don't think it, like, if I'm going to take this on my show, for example, I just know that my co-host will have probably an identical opinion to you, man. Like, it'll just be a lot of very frustrated, angry stuff, and, like, the abusive relationship factor is a very touchy subject for a lot of people. Like, if you have any history with at all with that, this show could be a bit of a hard thing to watch. I'd just go with something like Teasing Master Takagi-san or read that manga, because I find that one much more entertaining.
Yeah, and I know there's no avoiding this, because Mitz talked about, the fans will probably pass the demon one. Like, I'm guessing we won't be able to escape this one. This one is highly popular. Even on, like, AnyList, where I posted that I dropped this show, General Mills immediately posted a picture of like Nagatoro, like, leaning and looming and menacing over the other character, with the title of, like, listeners over her, and, like, AAA host over the senpai, like, about to get slaughtered because everyone is going to pick this show. So I don't think we can avoid it, but I'm hoping I don't have to watch anymore. Don't toy with me, Nagatoro. I will be failing, but who knows how long that'll stay in the grave.
Not
they
long.
Come back to haunt you.
They always do. And yeah, I'll say the reaction faces are great. The studio knows that they have a property that will have widespread internet, like, appeal and use, and they are nailing that component of it. So I have to imagine that fans of the manga are hyped beyond belief with the anime.
Yeah, I mean, this one is it's the #1 watch show of the season. That is not My Hero Academia, and we're not going to be covering season 5 of that. So, yep.
We need to make that Stomp My Nuts a drop.
Stomp 'em in the nuts. Stomp 'em in the nuts. There's a pretty funny Boondocks scene where some guy interrogates, like, criminals by stomping on their balls with a metal boot. So.
Hey, that
Hey.
would probably work. Or it wouldn't. Or it would really work if you can't.
Oh my goodness, did we do it? We passed another show, so now we have 2 shows, Godzilla SP and To Your Eternity, that will be getting reviews. We still have 2 more weeks of impressions and 4 more shows that we'll be passing before we hand it over to you guys, the listeners. My kind, loving, thoughtful listeners that value just the creme de la creme of the anime season for you to vote on. So
shall I go get the tub of butter I have? You really seem to...
That's Mason's way of telling you, make the right choices.
Do what you want, my dude. We're all here to have fun together.
Yeah, whatever, man.
I think either way we'll have a blast.
Yeah, so... Well, we have reached the end of the podcast, as we always do. So sad. But thank you once again to Shaun for joining us. Shaun, this is your second chance to just plug the shit. Tell us.
I'm ready.
Tell us why you are so great. Why are you the final stroke?
Well, I am so great because I have an anime podcast. And if you're listening to an anime podcast, that makes you great too. And if you'd like to listen to my anime podcast, where I torture and abuse and sometimes be nice to my anti-weeb co-host, then you can head on over to just about wherever you get your podcasts. We are Anime Out of Context. We're on Podbean, Stitcher, Spotify, Stitcher. I said Stitcher already. Apple Podcasts, everything and above. Give us a listen, and if you like it, great. If you don't, that's okay. Our feelings have been crushed before. We'd be happy to have you.
Please. No, none of that.
I would just be happy to share our thoughts and opinions, and if you want to get mad at my co-host Remington, then by all means, just maybe tone it down on the death threats. Those are a bit excessive, I think.
Yeah, that's wild stuff. Yeah, I
No,
haven't.
Thanks again for having us, or for us having you.
Yes, this is my cast.
Yeah,
now.
you've reclaimed the throne.
I have taken it over.
No, it was a real blast, guys. I'm really happy to have been invited, and dream come true, guys. Dream come true.
All right, well, if you want to follow the podcast, you can do it on Twitter at AAA Podcast. I am at Pope Mitsugi. Mason is at Macy Pacey. So once again, you can find Shaun over at Anime Con Pod. So head over there. You can check us out on Facebook. Please come to the website, aapodcast.com. You can check out our Discord on there. There's a lot of people on the Discord. That is kind of the blood of our community, I would say, at this point. On May 5th, they're going to be doing an anime club watch of Kino's Journey, or you guys just talk about it, right?
We talked about it on the 5th.
Right.
We got until then to watch it.
You have until the 5th to watch Kino's Journey, the original from 2003, 10 p.m. Eastern. You can check it out there on the Discord. Manga Club, May 12th, Wodokoi, Volumes 1 and 2, Chapters 1 through 30, also 10 p.m. Eastern. Get your asses over there. Talk about some manga and some anime with your fellow anime fans. And of course, if you want to support the podcast one last time, aapodcast.com/join. We're going to be doing a hentai episode here in a few minutes. It's going to get naughty, so we'll get the final stroke for real over at the hentai episodes. Next week, more impressions. We'll see you there. Bye, guys.
See ya.
Crazy weebs.